Welcome to the Hashimoto's Doctor Podcast. You're now part of a growing community of people determined to take their health back through education and self-empowerment. But because of the healthcare system today, we don't have access to the types of healthcare that we want. So we have to do things differently. We've got to do things smarter, and we do that by becoming our own advocates. This podcast will give you the perspective and thoughts of one of the world's leading Hashimoto's doctors. So let's get started. Hi, Dr. Shook here. I hope everyone's doing well today. In today's podcast, I want to talk to you guys about a topic that is on a lot of people's mind. It tends to be one of the most difficult things to accept when looking at alternatives to try and help them improve their thyroid dysfunction other than medications. And that is removing gluten from your diet. No one says, hey, I can't wait to give up my my yeast rolls. I remember growing up that there was a lady at our church, and she used to always bring these yeast rolls in, and they smelled so sweet and they were so amazing. I would eat them all the time. And I also remember my mom would get this stuff called, I hope I'm not butchering this, I think it was called like Hawaiian bread, and it was, or like King's bread or something, and it was like the sweetest bread you ever had in your life, and it was like amazing. And you know, we were big consumers of bread in my house growing up. I used to eat bread every morning as toast. Straight up wheat bread, white bread. My dad was interesting. What he used to do, I don't know if he still does it, but he would take white bread and like squeeze it together. And just eat it like a squeezed, like compacted, I don't know, wad or roll of, I don't know what you would call it, of white bread. And it's the craziest thing, because I've seen bread. I mean, what do you get at restaurants? A lot of restaurants you go and they serve you bread with butter. And who doesn't like that warm bread with butter on it, you know? But here's the deal. Some things in life we have to be willing to give up for the opportunity of a greater future. You know, you've got to be willing. If you don't feel good, who cares about the bread? I'll take a happy, healthy, vibrant life any day. Any day. I'll take more time with my kids. I'll take better mental clarity. I'll take sleeping better. I'll take energy. I'll take some time outside to walk and feel the wind and the sun on my face. You know, I'll take not feeling exhausted. I'll take that any day over bread. You got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision that there are certain things that you have to be willing to do for the opportunity to have a better life. And if eliminating gluten is one of them, that's easy. That's easy. If you've got an opportunity to do one simple thing like that, do it. Right? Do it. Let's talk about this for a second, though. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself here. But I just wanted to kind of share with you. I mean, I've been gluten-free for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I don't even know how long it is now. A long time. I've been gluten-free a long time. Don't miss it a bit. When I think about it sometimes, or I smell yeast rolls, it smells good, but I know what it can cost me. And I'm happy to trade that. I'm happy to trade that any day of the week. So one of the things here, so let me tell you about this study. So after 1 year, there's a study done that looked at people after 1 year on a gluten-free diet, and these people had thyroid dysfunction. So let me tell you, there was subclinical hypothyroidism normalized in 10 of 14, which would be 71% of this group, with non-autoimmune disease. So they had subclinical hypothyroidism, meaning that their labs were off, but they felt fine. Okay, that's medically subclinical hypothyroidism means their labs weren't normal, but they felt okay, right? Well, they found that after 1 year on a gluten-free diet, that of these 14 people, 10 of 14 people, so 71% of this group, with non-autoimmune disease. They did not have Hashimoto's or Graves' disease, anything like that, but they had their labs were not normal, but they felt fine. That's called subclinical hypothyroidism. That they normalized. Their labs normalized. So they still felt fine, but their labs now were normal. And let me tell you, just because you don't have symptoms, it's not a good thing. You cannot be deficient in thyroid hormone. Everything degenerates much faster when you don't have normal thyroid hormone physiological stimulation throughout the body. Every single cell in your body, from your brain to your bone, is dependent upon it. If you want to age quickly, you want your brain to age quickly, you want your body to break down quickly, be hypothyroid for an extended period of time. So really important to understand that these were subclinical hypothyroidism cases. So their labs were not good, but they felt fine. And after 1 year on a gluten-free diet, these are people that were not autoimmune. Their labs normalized. So there's a potential connection there between thyroid dysfunction that's not autoimmune in nature and gluten, right there. Now, there was another part to this. So there was another group. There were 5 people, and 3 of these 5 people with autoimmune thyroid disease, they had a change to. So they had autoimmune thyroid disease, and their labs were also, so their TSH, their thyroid hormone levels were also abnormal. Okay, so they had an autoimmune thyroid disease like Hashimoto's, and they had, let's say, for example, a high TSH that was abnormal. Okay, so they had labs that were off, plus they had an autoimmune thyroid process occurring. Okay, so after 1 year on a gluten-free diet, 3 of the 5 people that they followed in this study had a shift. So their labs changed to where they still had antibodies against the thyroid, but their thyroid hormone physiological, their levels normalized. Okay, so they became what they call euthyroid. So they had euthyroid autoimmunity, that's actually what I have. That's where you have an autoimmune process against the thyroid, but your labs look normal. So they had a shift from an autoimmune process against the thyroid and abnormal labs to just having these autoimmune process antibodies against their thyroid, but their labs were now normal. That's a good change. That means that some of these people may have had an opportunity to, if they were taking medications under their doctor's guidance, of course, they may have had an opportunity to discontinue those because now they're able to have normal output of thyroid hormone. So that would be an indication of improvement. Okay. Now, there were also in this study, another group of 5 people, 4 out of 5 people did not have improvement, but they had with their thyroid function, but they had poor compliance with the dietary approach. So I wanted to share this with you because I think this is important to understand. Now, I know these are small sample sizes here, but there are lots and lots and lots of studies that give us similar information. I have observed this clinically more times than I can count. So I just want to tell you that, if you want to try something, going gluten-free there are worse things to do, right there. There are absolutely worse things to do. But I think the take-home message here is that, yeah, it could help, but the other side of that coin is that it could take some time. Right? This is a 1-year follow-up. So, but there's so many gluten-free options and things available now. It's unbelievable. So that's one thing that you could do. But listen, if you're not doing well, if you're really losing quality of life, I mean, if you're like, oh, it doesn't bother me much at all, like you don't even think about it. But if you're thinking about these problems and you have brain fog and fatigue and your resistance to weight loss with, low calorie diets and exercise, poor exercise recovery, your body, you don't recover as well, you've got brain fog, you've got a lot of issues, right? You've got symptoms, thyroid related symptoms. Then, going gluten-free, yeah, if you want to take that time, you could go gluten-free for a year or for a few months and see how you do, but that's a lot of time to lose. I mean, I would encourage you, get some specific help, get some help to where you can get some laboratory testing to get some quantitative data and numbers on exactly what's happening with your immune response so that you can make changes that are going to be more specific to your unique situation. So just want to encourage you to consider that. But I want to share this with you, more information on gluten after 1 year on a gluten-free diet. I think it's an important topic, important information. A lot of people have heard about it. Not many people understand why the recommendations are made. If you didn't hear my podcast before this, when I go into a study, a larger study that was done, and some of the connections and why we think the gluten is a problem. But anyway, you can listen to that. But I hope this helps you to better understand some of the possibilities with gluten. I can tell you I've seen it clinically, and that it makes a big difference with people. So anyway, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I do appreciate you guys. Appreciate you hanging out with me today, listening to my ramblings, my stories that are sometimes You know, I get it. They're not funny sometimes, but they make me think back to when my life was much different. And I think a lot of people can just know it's doable. It's doable. My life was completely different. I was raised in the South in North Carolina, and we had biscuits and gravy and Southern fried food. And I went to a small church. If you've ever seen the movie, is it Juno? I think it's Juno. It was so funny because they had a after church dinner, and that's exactly what my church was like. I mean, it was like this little addition to the church that was like a cinder block, meeting place where we would have dinners and stuff after church and special events and whatnot. And we would have all kinds of everything that you can imagine that would be Southern in nature, from fried chicken to whatever it might be, and it was loaded with foods. And though I do still live in the same town, I don't partake in those foods, and I don't miss them a bit because I'll trade those any day for feeling better and for having better health. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. My goal is to help you guys become better educated so that you can be your own advocates, and you can be your own advocates. You can be active participants in your healthcare, not a bystander. You can have a conversation with your doctor. You can, not challenge them in a negative way, but you can, you can talk to them about their rationale and decision making behind what they're doing. And you can be okay with them not knowing some of this information. See, because I want you to be a better partner. I don't want you to condemn them or have, a negative or have any type of negativity towards your physicians because they haven't been exposed to some of this information. They are trying to be conservative and do what's in your best interest. And when you come to them with hey, I listened to this guy on the internet, they're going to have red flags going up everywhere, first of all. So they're trying to do what's best for you. There's a lot of change, though, and I think that there's a lot of evidence that supports the stuff that I'm trying to teach you guys. But listen, be patient, relax, take a breath, try to help them better understand the situation. Don't be condescending. Don't be arrogant. Be humble and everything, and just try to, like I said, be better partners. So anyway, appreciate you guys a lot. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Talk to you again soon. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed hanging out behind the scenes with Dr. Shook. You can also talk with and learn from Dr. Shook through Facebook Live on our Facebook page at the Office of Dr. Brad Shook. Don't forget, you can also get access to our videos, guidebooks, and thyroid programs at www.drbradshook.com. Oh yeah, and don't forget one more thing. We can change the world one person, one family, and one community at a time. Until next time, remember, today is your day, and no one will tell you who you are and what you can be.